Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Casey here, and I am super excited because I have the wonderful, the famous John Lee Dumas on, and I'm super excited that he's here today because I don't know if you know John, but he has the leading podcast, the #1 podcast in iTunes in 2013. John, has 2014 stats come out yet?
Well, we're in the running, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Maybe early 2015, they'll be announcing it.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. So everybody, just so you know, he has the #1 podcast for entrepreneurs called Entrepreneur on Fire. You probably know this already. He has a couple other awesome products that I want to dig into a bit. I really wanted to bring him in because one of his biggest strategies, I wanted him to reveal his biggest strategies, and of course you probably already know this, guys, because of what I focus on. So there really isn't going to be much of a reveal here. But John, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your biggest strategy in your business. Yes, I know that you make money from sponsorship, but how did you grow to where you're at now, which is 250,000 plus a month, right, or around 200,000 a month? Yeah. So how did you get to that point? What were some things that you did, and then please reveal the biggest strategy to us if you could.
Absolutely. And, for me, Casey, what has just become the truth over and over and over again are these three principles, and they apply to so many things in life. And that is to deliver free content, make that content valuable, and then do it consistently. So again, free, valuable, and consistent content, three incredible ingredients to success. A lot of people do one of those things. Some people do two of those things, but far and few in between people are doing all three of those things together at the same time. And that was the success of Entrepreneur on Fire. I was delivering a free podcast that was valuable because of the guests that I was bringing on, and it was consistent. It was 7 days a week. And because of that, I launched at the end of 2012, actually won Best of iTunes in 2013. To date, we've done over 11 million downloads. We had 973,000 unique listens just last month. We're approaching our 800th episode of, again, on this daily format. The great Casey himself is a past guest, of course. And that just continues to grow, and then it's been built into a business that consistently generates over $250,000 every single month in revenue, and the profit margins are out of control. And we share all this, Casey, at eofire.com/income, where we break down how we make the money, how it comes out, like the expenses, the net revenue, all that stuff. So we really love being transparent in that manner. But one thing that we realized that was really powerful is that when we grew that audience, Casey, it was like, okay, now what do we do with this massive audience? Well, you do what anybody should do that has an audience at any stage, small, medium, or large. You ask that audience an incredibly important question. What are you struggling with? And then you just shut up for a second and you listen. And that audience, Casey, will tell you their pain points, their obstacles, their challenges, their struggles. And you're just listening. Again, you're still being quiet and listening, but you're taking notes. You're categorizing them. You're seeing what is rising to the top. And then you're seeing these consistent obstacles and struggles that are coming from your audience, your listeners. And then you now have an opportunity to create the solution. And so that's exactly what happened for us with our community, Podcasters Paradise. People were asking us, John, how do you create, grow, and monetize a podcast? We saw the opportunity. We created Podcasters Paradise, which does just that. And we opened the doors up, and now in just a little over a year, we've brought in over 1,700 members at an average of $1,000 per member. It's generated over $1.5 million in revenue, and it's been an incredible experience. And Podcasters Paradise is just an answer to what people were telling us that they needed from, again, us delivering that free, valuable, and consistent content on that daily basis. Now, with Podcasters Paradise, one thing that we're seeing, Casey, is that at the beginning, despite that, after that initial surge that a lot of people see in launches, things started to kind of slow down and things started to dry up a little bit. And we're like, man, I understand why people are going to a sales page to join a community that's over $1,000 to gain access to. And
Right.
yes, they're seeing the value. They're seeing that there's over 200 video tutorials. They're seeing that we have an accountability matchmaker tab, that we have a private Facebook group, that we do monthly webinars with today's top podcasters. We actually just had James Altucher on yesterday, amazing one. I do monthly Q&A sessions. Like, they saw the value was there, but it was just a sales page. It was like, people have a hard time investing that much money, rightfully so, in a static sales page that, to be frank, could have been created 6 months ago. I mean, how time relevant is this? So we came up with the idea, and I know that this is, where you and I, Casey, have really been talking a lot recently, because we both love this mode of communication of doing webinars.
Yes. So what I love is that you did something super simple, which was you answered the very simple question of what your audience needed, and that was really the key to then creating the product. So what to fill in the blank, guys, Podcaster Paradise is John's product where he teaches all about podcasting, okay? And so and then, of course, as he said, he created the sales page, and it was just static, and you could come to it at any particular point. Didn't have a lot of dynamic quality to it. And that's when, John, you created this weekly webinar session. What I love is that it's weekly. This kind of goes back to your consistency factor. The aspect of doing something all the time. Obviously, Entrepreneur on Fire is daily, but this is weekly, and you tapped into something with that. You really tapped into something with that. What kind of revenue are you generating just from the webinars that you're doing per week right now?
So, great question, and that's exactly why I think it's successful, Casey, is because of that same exact model that we talked about at the beginning. Entrepreneur on Fire it's free, it's consistent, it's valuable. Yeah. The live podcast webinars that we do are free, they're consistent, and they're valuable. They're completely free to attend. They're every single Wednesday. Every Wednesday people know that we're going to be doing a live workshop, a live webinar, and they're incredibly valuable. For the first 60 minutes, I do nothing but deliver value. I do zero things except just deliver value about how to create your podcast, launch your podcast, equipment you need, how to grow your podcast audience, how to monetize that podcast, and I just have some great live training in there. Like, it's a valuable podcast workshop every single week, and it's live. And so what we were seeing, Casey, is that now we were creating an event that people were telling their friends about. Oh, you're interested in podcasting? Well, there's this guy doing a free podcast workshop every week. So that's where the consistency came into play. Now people could say, hey, I know that this guy does it every single week, so just go to his page, sign up for it, because he's going to do it in this coming Wednesday. He does it every single week. So that was just snowballing this really consistent and powerful audience that just kept growing and growing to where we got to very consistently now. We are over 100 and sometimes over 200 live attendees, and this is every single week, Casey. And at this point, about 90 to 95% of it is completely organic traffic. And we are averaging on these live webinars anywhere between 20 to 45 sales on these webinars. Probably I'd say our overall average would be between 25 and 30 is an average webinar. But multiply that by the invoice total, which is $1,000 to join Podcasters Paradise. We're doing around $25,000 to $30,000 in sales every single week on these live webinars. To the tune of over 150. And actually, this month in November, we're going to be crossing $200,000 in revenue from these live webinars of people joining Podcasters Paradise. Because at the end of that incredible hour of content, then I take a step back and say, all right, whoever's still with me here, you've gotten a ton of value. We've given you a gift. We're doing some really cool things. Now let's talk about Podcasters Paradise. And I explain to them exactly what the community is, the benefits, the features. I actually take them, Casey, inside of Podcasters Paradise right there on the webinar by doing a screen share and show them everything that's right there, and then I just say, hey, and this is what it's going to take, and this is why you should buy now, because you're going to be able to lock in the lowest price because of X, Y, and Z. Now I'd like to answer any questions you have, and any people that still have questions at that point, Casey, I can remove those barriers on these live webinars because I'm taking their questions person by person, name by name, and that's just a powerful way to do it.
What's really cool about what you're talking about here, John, is that you are building a know, like, and trust every single week with these people, and chances are you have people that are coming again and again and again to this event. If they didn't buy that first week, maybe that second week that they come, or maybe that third week that they come. The consistency factor builds that know, like, and trust, and then the more objections that you handle in that chat box, obviously by the end of it, the more that they get closer and closer to being sales and to purchasing. And that's probably why you have such high conversions. The 20 to 40% of the people that are coming to the event, they are either people that have potentially maybe seen it before, or they've just heard so many wonderful things about it. And also the very fact that in that first hour you're providing such quality content, and everybody listen to this, it's quality content. That's really the key. Provide a ton of value. By doing so, you will see those sales roll in. I mean, it's just a question of you providing the content that really is what your audience is looking for. So, John, thank you. That was super helpful. I think that you've already told us exactly kind of some of the things that you're doing inside your webinars. You've told us that you provide extreme value, and then you do a lot of showing them the inside of Podcaster Paradise, which is pretty remarkable. Do you feel like that transparency just bridges that gap? It just like gets them closer and closer to being in there?
Absolutely. I mean, the bigger the investment that somebody's going to be making in themselves, the more comfortable they want to be with that. So by taking people inside of Podcaster's Paradise and showing them every single one of the 200 video tutorials, how Podcaster's Paradise is laid out, to show them our accountability matchmaker tab and how we actually match people up. Take people to our Podcasters tab that has every single podcast that's been launched from Podcaster's Paradise. There are hundreds and hundreds from every single category. I mean, that's incredible social proof. To take them to the Webinars tab and to show them Michael Hyatt, Lewis Howes, Amy Porterfield, Pat Flynn, James Altucher, all of our past guests that have come on just to exclusively talk to Podcast Paradise members. Then to take them actually into the private Facebook group live time and show them interactions that are happening right then, right now. They see that this is an active, live, vibrant community right now, today. This isn't yesterday's news, and that just gives them this incredible sense of comfort, making that very large investment in themselves. And that's a really important thing, that you want to be able to walk people through that buying process in a very comfortable manner. In a live webinar, or the right, well done, recorded or streamed webinar can do just that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, because the idea is, whether it's live, whether it's pre-recorded, you're still showing and supplying transparency of what they're going to get. Because as you just said, the purchase, if someone is willing to invest that much in you, you're going to show them everything. You want to show them what kind of community you have. And I think that's a big factor of the sales point that you have, is that you have a strong community. Facebook, bringing them into the Facebook group. I think this is a really strong strategy for those who are wanting to do webinars. If you have, or pitching a product, let people know, say, hey, would you like to come and see the back end of it, Or something that I sometimes tend to do is say, hey, everybody who stayed and bought, or everybody who bought, stick around, because I want to show you what you're now going to be getting now that you've made the investment to come on through. I want to show you what the members area looks like. And sometimes when you do that, you'll also obviously get everybody who's still on the webinar, not just those who've already purchased, but everybody else, to where they're still going to see the back end of the of your product. They'll get to know like the next stages, and those people might join and jump to that next stage of actually purchasing. So I think the transparency element of it is key. The value is key, and the transparency is key. So, John, that's pretty remarkable stuff. I'm so excited that you are doing so well with webinars, and you even have a webinar product, from what I know, right? Like you have Webinars on Fire, right?
Yeah, and that's just a product that just teaches people our system and how to do it. We just teach people how we use Google Hangouts to actually stream webinars and how to do it live. And it's been really great, Casey, about getting together with you and really kind of building the relationship that we've had. is, I've started been able to have my eyes open to the power of EasyWebinar and the ability to do EasyWebinar using our live webinars, or even, setting up streaming webinars on a day-to-day basis, or even recorded webinars, which is huge because now I can actually talk about ways to leverage my time and scale my time. I mean, there's a lot of pros to doing live webinars, and I'll continue to do that because I love that live interaction and being able to answer people's questions, remove those barriers. But let's face it, Casey, when you're making $250,000 a month, your per hour, cost per hour is pretty high. It's in the thousands of dollars an hour. So I need to make sure that every activity that I'm doing, is actually a reflection of what my time is worth. And so, that's why I love the opportunity that EasyWebinar, is giving to me right now as I'm working into my business with, setting up streaming webinars, setting up recorded webinars, having a great system all in one to track analytics and to go that way, to kind of bring that, portion in. Because, another holdback to live webinars is that not everybody can show up at that specific time. And a lot of people, want to be there, or want to be able to watch that content, but just work, time zones, different parts of the country, they can't. So I want to give people the opportunity to consume this content when it's right for them. It's like a podcast mentality. Podcasts are successful because they're on-demand, targeted, free content. Keyword there being on-demand and free. And that's exactly what, I love about streaming and recorded webinars, is that now it becomes more on demand. You can have more options of when you can watch at a time that works for you, but at the same time, it still has that scarcity built in where, it's streaming, so you sit down to watch, you better be tuned in.
Yeah, because the nice thing about streaming, and I thank you for mentioning EasyWebinar. The nice thing about EasyWebinar and streaming is that is when it streams live, it's streaming live. So if it starts at 11 a.m. in your own time zone, so if someone's in Dubai watching at 11 a.m. or someone's in LA watching at 11 a.m., that streams in their own time zone. And if they're late, by 30 minutes, they're going to come in 30 minutes into the event itself. So it really has a real-time effect to it. Which I think really helps with also the engagement factor. That's another element. So the live stream events, they're obviously not live, but the nice thing is that you can also have a chat box underneath that is the same exact chat box that you might use for your live, where you can still be talking to the entire stream of people in there. Yes, you're not going to maybe answer their questions specifically to them personally, to each person personally, but your automated webinar or your pre-recorded event, they could handle past objection from previous attendees coming to your webinar, right? So you could even have those inside your pre-recorded event where you're saying things like, okay, now I'd like to talk about this question from Jake, and Jake had said, and this could be a question that Jake had in a live event maybe, but it could still handle some of the objections that people were having on this pre-recorded event. So the cool thing about that is that there's this element that you could have of engagement. You could also, it's just pretty cool stuff. The different chat boxes that you can have. As we already talked about, we don't have to go into a ton of detail on here, guys, but because you probably already know maybe a little bit about it. But the idea that you can have your chat wing or chat role, or even like our built-in chat box underneath the video, which actually just sends people right back into the EasyWebinar dashboard. So it's really kind of some cool stuff, and it's a really great way to leverage your time, as you really just pointed out, John. So yeah, thank you so much, man. Well, cool. Thanks again for sharing this content with us. I really appreciate it. And where can we learn more about you if people have any questions? I mean, obviously they can go to Entrepreneur on Fire, or actually they could probably go to Twitter at John Lee Dumas and probably there as well, right?
Yeah, Casey, all the magic for me happens at eofire.com. That's a nice little short way to get to entrepreneuronfire.com, because that word entrepreneur is tricky. But I'd love to share with people the free live workshops that we do. I do the podcast workshop every single week for people that want to learn a little more about podcasting. Twice a month we do the webinar workshop, where we teach people how to create and present webinars that actually convert. And you'll see on that webinar that we actually promote in a major way EasyWebinar, because we're such a believer in that platform as the platform to use for your webinars. You know, we teach you, again, the creation and the presenting and the converting part of it, but you need a platform to deliver it all. And yeah, my Twitter is at John Lee Dumas. I'm very active on there, and I'd love to say what's up.
Perfect, man. Yeah, you know, and I like that you mentioned your product. I think it's important, you know, a tool is just a tool, but to know how to create something that really converts, high converting, you know, like how to create a webinar, like what really works for you, and the fact that it's working for you and you can apply that to the knowledge, the things that people need to know, this knowledge, it's utterly helpful. And then, of course, a platform is what you need to be able to present it out to the world, you know, to make it super easy. Obviously, EasyWebinar is a plug-in to your WordPress site. It just plugs right into it, and then you can stream out live events and automated events and broadcast events and replay events and web shows every single week. I mean, it's all about creating content that people love and need, and giving it to them and positioning it in such a way that can also help to build your business as well. So. And John is a testament to how webinars can totally work for people. So if you are someone who's not sure about webinars, you're like, I don't know if they're the tool for me. Well, John Lee Dumas is definitely a testament to it being a business revenue model. Like literally, webinars can be a business. You can build a business around webinars, and John has done that. So John, thank you so much for being on with us. And you and I will definitely be in contact, obviously, because we'll be doing more with EasyWebinar with you. So, brother, I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Casey.
All right. Talk to you. Bye.